Hey everybody, welcome back to the Baba Show. Today, I'm going to be going back to a topic that I haven't talked about in a while, and I'm going to be connecting it to the topic of God functions. I've been exploring some things in terms of God functions, just sort of how they interact and how they can be manipulated. And to be honest, I didn't really give it much thought since last recording. I haven't come to a conclusion what came first, the origins or the God functions themselves. But I assume it's the God functions off the top of my head. But it's not a it's not a very satisfying or concrete answer. So we mentioned before there's eight cognitive origins. Eight cognitive origins that people. Sorry, I mentioned this a lot of times. Eight cognitive origins that people desire in life. And each personality type favors one more so heavily than others, um, which is heavily influenced by a person's nature, but can also be influenced by a person's nurture. And each kind of origin is attached or serves under a God function, sort of that sort of dictates the sphere of influence and um, how each function, um, how each origin operates functionally. Operates. I might have just piled a bunch of big words together, but let's see. But I guess the simple way to look at God functions is to take it literally, like um, parameters that origins serve under. And if that's the case, then it seems like it is the case from that definition that God functions did come first. And to say first for God doesn't make too much sense because He is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. So first, He always and is. So first doesn't make too much sense. So that question isn't necessarily too important. Maybe, yeah, it's not too important. That's not too important to give attention to. So before, okay, so effortless dating. This idea came from sports, and uh, this idea came from sports. The most effective way to play any sport and at the highest mastery of sports, um, the motion is very fluid and effortless. Um, any sport out there: golfing, boxing, tennis, ping pong, table tennis, pickleball. I'm a pickleball player. Pickleball, canoeing, kayaking, rowing, baseball, basketball, softball, hockey, air hockey, field hockey. So, so that concept of effortless, just basically anything at the highest levels of mastery, or anything performed at an elite level, should be effortless. For the sake of maximum technique and maximum power output, because having, as I think every professional athlete, every like great performer or professional athlete knows, like having tension in the muscle, maybe besides if you're arm wrestling or rock climbing, you sort of need that tight grip. Or maybe you want to do a flick shot with your wrist in like ping pong or pickleball. You kind of really need to use your wrist so that activates your forearm muscles. But besides that, there should not be much tension in sports. And I think we've definitely applied the concept to other areas in life, like at the highest levels of master, like the things we do, the things we strive to do should become effortless, or should be effortless, or things that we already do. Sometimes we put in unnecessary effort that constrains our results. It's limits and constrains maximum performance, or efficient performance. So you're putting in 50 kilowatts, kilojoules of energy, but you're only producing 3.2 or 0.156 batting average. Whereas a person may be putting in just their body, not the impact that's at bat swing, putting 20 kilojoules, 20 joules of energy, is getting consistently getting a 299 batter, 0.299 batting average, and that is that's pretty good in baseball standards. I'm pretty sure. Um, so just the point of being effortless in whatever you do is sort of it makes life it makes it's super important because it makes life satisfying. I think no one wants to be the guy at the like well, I think no one wants to be the guy like the blackjack table. It's like just guessing all the time, or like putting in so effort to really like to like pray at the table, or to like spin a lucky dime, to put that much effort into superstition. Or there's methods like blackjack strategy and card counting, which when well practiced can make blackjack pretty easy. Of course, you're still gonna lose with what is it called? Something about variety. I forgot the word. It's like just randomness. EV, expected value. You're still gonna lose if you don't have a high enough bankroll. But it's no one wants to be that person that puts in so much effort and gets so little. And I think that's what people really desire with dating and relationships. If there was a way to make it as effortless as possible, I think people would really want that. And once upon a time, it was very effortless, as in society really forced it, or like heavily subsidized. Subsidized sounds like bureaucratic word, so that's like the wrong word, but like heavily promoted marriage, um, monogamy, and people getting together. But now nowadays it's kind of like it's dissuaded. Don't be together. Don't look away from the opposite gender. So I mean, not all society is like that. Sort of, I sort of say that jokingly, because obviously there's dating apps that want people to continue to use dating apps to make money. So of course there's nuances, but in general society it's like let's look the other way for now. But before we get into that effortless dating, I'm just gonna lay down some fundamentals. We're gonna be discussing um, God function prerogatives. God function prerogative. So basically, every God function has a prerogative, which is based off of the like hero functions, what every function strives to do. And I think people already know this off the top of their head. I'm just gonna go by. Excuse me. Gonna go down one by one and bottom to top, and then go back to the main title topic. So extroverted sensing, God function. People extroverted sensing the strive to make people comfortable. That's generally if you aware of someone's experience. 80% of the time you're using it to make people comfortable. People with extroverted intuition, if you know or try to know what other people desire, you strive 80% of the time to give them what they desire. FE, you strive to make people happy. If you're aware how other people feel, you strive to make other people happy. That's why doctors are one of the most respected fields in the world, because they make people feel good, they make people happy. So it fits in with their God. Not it fits in with that God function. TE, if you're aware of what other people think, most people use TE to think well. So this is actually the idea of giving people peace of mind. So I guess the duality of that is having a troubled mind or peace of mind. So, like for example, if someone thinks you're like a rude person, you would sort of kind of need to use your TE, or really use whatever TE you have. If you're not a top stack TE user, to really maybe acknowledge to the other person that maybe you are a rude person, so you bring them peace of mind. So that's what a lot of TE users do. They're if you're aware of what other people think, you sort of strive to create a positive image for yourself or give people peace of mind. Then we have TI, which is people 80% of the time people use it for logic or intelligence. FI, if you're aware of how you feel, use it to sort of be happy. NI, if you're aware. So giving people what you want is also called satisfying others. So if you're aware of what you want, you sort of strive for satisfaction. And if you're aware of your experience, you strive to be comfortable. And it's very interesting. Discovery and being comfortable often sounds like they don't go hand in hand, but maybe as as like a discovery user, sometimes it's like if you're not discovering, that makes you uncomfortable, or maybe this SI can also be viewed as duty or endurance. So discovery users maybe have a view that maybe it's their duty to perform well, their duty to do well their job, their duty to be a great father, husband, or spouse, their duty to change the world in the scientific field. Well, I don't think that's why the great Mr. Albert Einstein did it. More so just out of natural exploration. But I think definitely anyone aware of their own experience always strives to be comfortable or to become comfortable. It's a very interesting dynamic about being comfortable. Being comfortable isn't always the worst thing. I think maybe the strong connection to SI and discovery, the God function SI and discovery, is that maybe you need to be a little bit comfortable to allow free-flowing discovery to happen. On the other hand, being uncomfortable, like being in pain, can also produce discovery. But it's just in general, like being aware of your own experience, people can manipulate that most of the time. Most people manipulate that to be comfortable. You can also manipulate yourself to become uncomfortable for X, Y, and Z reasons. Just like with extroverted sensing, most people use it to make people comfortable. But you can also use it to make people uncomfortable for X, Y, and Z reasons. And that's sort of the foundation of God function prerogatives, which each God function wants to use. And the next step after that is what does each God function produce? So I think everybody already knows this off the top of the head if anyone understands just the definition of each function. If you give someone a great experience, produce SI loyalty. But we're going to view this from God functions. We're going to start to view everything from God functions. If you give someone what they want, you produce desire, and I desire. And very soon we're gonna get into the main title of Effortless Dating. If you FE, if you make people feel good, you produce FI, happiness. If you have TE, you produce TI, you produce regard or respect. If you have TI, you sort of give someone um, like reputation. You um, give someone like maybe, I don't know how to phrase it, peace of mind. You don't give someone peace of mind. You sort of kind of give someone a reputation. If you feel happy, you sort of give others reverence, which is absolutes. You give others FE. If you pursue your satisfaction, you give others, you produce any, which we'll get into later when we view it all from God functions. If you channel SI, God function, you give others SE. So now I'm going to view all these definitions from God functions. Like functionally speaking, without God functions. If you're comfortable, if you're uncomfortable, someone seeks, you kind of give an opportunity for someone to give you an experience. If you chase your desires, you create new possibilities. If you feel good, you make other people feel. But functionally speaking, that's not how we want to view it. But if we view it from God functions, we see some very interesting ideas occur. So if we view all these from God functions, SI is discovery. So if you give authority, if you use authority on someone, you give them, well, actually, yeah, maybe we can tackle it from there. You give someone discovery. If you use connection, you give someone satisfaction. If you use reverence, you give someone FI. You give someone justification. If you use achievements, you give someone validation. If you use validation, you give someone achievements. If you use justification, you give someone reverence. If you use satisfaction, you give someone connection. If you use discovery, you give someone authority. And now this is where it gets very interesting. This is where it gets very interesting. We're getting closer to effortless dating. So if we tackle this from a masculine and feminine perspective, I think there's some red flags that people can already tell that the masculine wants to avoid and the feminine wants to pursue, or the other way around, the feminine wants to avoid and the masculine wants to pursue. So as a guy, definitely, as a man in general, um, we discussed the key to the game, which is, I guess now we're at effortless dating. Kind of want to make a woman respect you. That's the key to the game. And the key to the game for a woman is you want to be loved. That's the key to the game that every woman already knows. So, but we'll kind of get to what function chain is that. So we have just looking at all these functions. So if a guy gives a woman an experience, he produces. So we take this from an angle of he and she. If he gives an experience, she produces loyalty. Okay, that checks out. That checks out the masculine-feminine dynamic. If he is desirable, she produces desire. Okay, that also checks out. It doesn't sound. That doesn't break the masculine-feminine dynamic. If he produces good feelings, she feels good. Okay, that also doesn't break the masculine-feminine dynamic. If he has good reputation, she thinks well of him. She gives him regard. She gives him respect. Okay, that doesn't break the masculine-feminine dynamic. And now we get to the part to the introverted God functions that sort of change that dynamic. And here's where we see it really shifts to the feminine, because if we use the he she, we start with the masculine first. Um, Guy thinks well of girl, so you're giving her reputation. Guy feels happy about girl, you give her reverence, you make her accepted by other people. Guy desires girl, you give her connection, you make her desirable because you want her. And guy, um, uh, SI is like being comfortable. Guy being too, this is like a guy being too passive. SI being too comfortable. You give someone authority. You give someone a chance to give an experience for you. So you give a woman power over you. If it's the he she, um, or masculine feminine framework, masculine to feminine. So it's very fascinating. We get some interesting ideas from there. That all the introverted God functions are sort of more conducive to being feminine. TI, you think well of a guy, you give him reputation, you feel good, you give him reverence, you desire a guy, you give him connection, and you're loyal, so you give someone authority. And so, like, it seems like from God function definitions, we have sort of the most masculine type out there is probably ENTJ male, and the most feminine type out there is INTP woman, which I mean, it does check out. There's definitely masculinity. The thing is, with respect, not everyone has a full picture of um, what makes a woman hold you in high regard. So this is basically the key. This is basically effortless dating right here. Achievement types, making a woman think well of you. Most people, I think, unfortunately, it's a shame. It really is a shame. Most people get the wrong idea about um, what produces regard or respect in women. So they sort of fail to get that achievement. But if you understand the basic framework that as a guy you want to be respected and you want to love a woman, just having that understanding in mind, that gives you a lot of regard from women. I would say that's like 70% of getting regard from women. And after that, it's like, let's talk about modern day society. It's dressing well, maybe having a good build helps. Um, being tall, being tall doesn't necessarily help because it can help for first impressions, but it can also make a girl think that you're a little pretty, and she'll actually have more respect for a shorter guy because it's like, dang, this guy kind of has like she'll just respect you more because you're shorter, so you're like less physically advantaged, so you've been through more pain and suffering, and naturally it'll produce regard and respect. Actually, however, you can see that you definitely see that sparkle in a girl's eyes. You can see it happen in real time. But I think being tall, it's definitely it's a game. It's the bread and butter for online dating. Definitely bread and butter. So there's definitely a lot of nuances in producing regard. You have to definitely be a little intelligent. To a little that sounds condescending. You have to like be a little sharp to try to figure everything out. But once you understand like the basic fundamentals, just really tapping into TE, making sure women think well of you. And for a woman, for effortless dating, you want to tap into SI. Because the most masculine thing you can give a guy is not necessarily, um, to me, it's not like a reputation, reverence, connection. It's authority because power is sort of, I think power is more so connected to godhood. And right now, women give a lot of authority to themselves. They try to take power into their own hands. Maybe um, treat someone poorly to get their way, complain to get their way. And when I say complain or treat someone poorly, I mean treat a guy poorly, complain to get their way, manipulate things to get their way, use the cops to get their way, use the government to get their way. So instead of giving authority to men, they give authority to everybody but everybody but a guy, and that's sort of a big problem in modern day society. Well, what's easier if guys um, just you're more aware of what women think, what other men think. It'll naturally be a byproduct, but just being hyper aware of what other women think is going to lead you to find different ways to produce regard. And the better you get at this, the more effortless it'll become. I know I'm not. I'm definitely not the most credible out there. There's so many great guys out there that have a lot more credibility. Maybe I can do some field work, and you guys will see some hot blondes walking in the background. But right now, I'm just showing sort of the keys in terms of God functions, and this is definitely sort of this is definitely this is it's effortless dating. Everything else, like making a woman feel good, making a woman feel happy, um, it doesn't necessarily produce respect. Like reverence types, they make people feel happy, like they say a witty joke, but it doesn't really produce that love inside a woman. Connection types, they produce desire, like they're fun people to be around, like ESTPs, INFJs, but that doesn't necessarily produce love. Um, Extroverted sensors like INFPs and ESTJs, they try to make people as comfortable as possible, so that produces loyalty, but loyalty isn't necessarily love. The only thing that is love is respect, TI, regard, people thinking well of you. So having these, it helps a lot, which is why ENTJs, they have all these naturally. So that's amazing they have all those tools naturally. But really the key, we think about Pareto principle. I say Pareto principle too much. I hope nobody thinks of me as the Pareto principle guy. But 80% of most of your effort, 100% of your effort should be that. I think if any guy's effort should be in being aware of what other women think, so you really get that regard, respect, which is love for a woman. Everything else is sort of tertiary, secondary. This is bread and butter for effortless dating. And evidence of the fact is understanding, just by understanding that as a guy you want to be respected, not loved. That really it doesn't produce loyalty in a woman. It doesn't. It does produce desire. It does make a woman feel good. But I guess I forget. I forget what comes first. It does make a woman think well of you. I think we talk about intuition. Um, Desire, actually, there might be part of desirability. There might be maybe lend some credence to the ESTPs and INFJs. But so desire comes from either seeing or just the possibilities. TI. So I'm just curious now. Maybe doubling back a little bit. Do you have to think someone's attractive first to desire them, or do you desire someone first, then think they're attractive? I desire something that I don't know that's attractive or not. So yeah, actually, it still seems like TI always comes first. So even with that example, when you figure out the sort of really the really the secret to pulling out King Arthur's sword is just really understanding your prerogative as a guy. Um, you sort of produce. I think you first produce TI. You first produce the inkling in a woman's head that this person is attractive, and then I think desire comes after. But I think they happen so instantaneously. It's hard to figure out which happens first. But you can't desire. I don't think you can desire something that you don't think is awesome. So I think the thinking comes first, which is why definitely I think this is the key to definitely this is the key to effortless dating. Any like, and maybe any's there too. Oh, but all these are good, but definitely respect is always respect and desire. That's interesting. But I think this is the more important question. What comes first, respect or desire? Um, Here, okay. I would take a look at some cards, see if I can figure it out. Okay. Also, we know that images produce light. Light travels faster than sound. But thinking, thoughts, telepathy versus the speed of light. So that's what T is. Basically, it's telepathy. So is telepathy faster than the speed of light? Um, yeah, we can figure that out. That might be the key to effortless dating. But while I think about that, yeah, definitely for a woman, really to give a guy more authority, which I doubt will happen. But if a woman out there does give a guy more authority, it's gonna make her a lot more feminine. Besides being beautiful and young and um, a virgin and all that stuff, um, innocent, being a virgin. Yeah, I guess this is super important for a woman. Super important, but or relatively innocent. But since this is the Bible show, I do have to mention that I guess a woman should stick with her first boyfriend, because after that, the Bible calls it adultery. But so back to the important question. Uh, kind of a little bit drunk after all the buttums I said. Um, so that's the question. I think that's definitely a question for effortless dating. Does telepathy or is the speed of light faster? Or the speed of the collective unconscious, because NI can come from the collective unconscious, or reality, SI, or SC viewing reality. So I guess um, Chrome. So what's on this account? So that's the speed of light. So this is basically the speed of desire, because we're all human beings that light reflects off of. So this is the speed of desire. If someone desires you, this is the speed of how it happens. So is this faster than the collective unconscious? Is this faster than telepathy? So the speed someone thinks. Actually, no, actually, oh, hold up. 268 miles per hour. 260 bits. Okay, 260 miles. This sounds not too bad. Okay, but just using real life examples. Usually in real life, there's if a girl sees an attractive guy, it's usually the desire doesn't come the desire can take a while to the strong desire can take a while to kick in. Um, but the thinking is there automatically. So I'll give this for the sake of brevity. I'll give effortless dating to TE, which is I think it's just I think it's definitely one of the surefire ways. One of the surefire ways. And yeah, but speed of light is faster. But just reality wise, people usually you can see people's thought, like wow, that person is cool, and then the desire takes a while to build up. Like actionized desires versus like hidden desire. Yeah. Okay. Trying to think back. Trying to I'm trying to use just experiences from the collective unconscious, or the human collective unconscious. I think so. Girl sees guy walking. She can't like want the guy right away if she sees him right away. Yeah, she can't like want the guy right away, but she can think well the guy right away. Okay, there. Okay. So yeah, achievement. This is I'm pretty sure this is the key to effortless dating, and for women, I'm pretty sure this is the key. Sort of being a discovery type, um, letting, letting, giving a God more authority because of how God function interacts, and to producing regard or producing validation. Like she's right about like her thoughts about you are validated or are all very valid, and her thoughts about you should be valid because she's risking a lot to talk to you. So that checks out there. But I guess one thing I'm confident about is God function prerogatives, sort of making people comfortable. Authority seeks to make people comfortable, makes people satisfied, makes people happy, makes people gives people peace of mind. It gives them a good reputation, intelligence, happiness, satisfaction, comfortability, and what they produce, discovery, and I is satisfaction, justification, validation, achievements, reverence, connection, and authority. And yeah, definitely. There's definitely some keys for effortless dating with the ENTJ side of the mind, and the INTP side of the mind has lots of ideas for one. And I'm sorry I couldn't find a more satisfying conclusion. Um, yeah, if you found this video helpful and informative, give it a like or a share. And as always, stay safe, stay blessed.